This storybook cottage belonged to an actual storybook artist. I'll tell you its story and show you how I would decorate it, if it were mine. This 1849 Gothic revival was the home of artist Mary Sherwood Wright Jones, and it will come as no surprise that she's best known for fairy tale illustrations for magazines and children's books. But this house also has another storybook connection, because the plan for it is in this book by landscape designer Andrew Jackson Downing, with collaborations by architect Alexander Jackson Davis. It's a bit like Dermot Mulroney and Dylan McDermott there with their names, but anyway, the house fits the narrative that they created for this particular house plan. You can see it here on page 50 in the book. A cottage in the English or rural Gothic style. But like any good story, this one has a few twists to it. Because although they started building the house in 1848, the book wasn't published until 1850. Here's proof that the house was there in 1849, though, which, by the way, I've gone off on a whole tangent of postcards of old houses on my website. So if you like those, go over and check them out. Okay, sorry about the extreme zoom, but anyway, the builder was George Upham, which is why the house is known as the Upham-Wright House. And he must have gotten his hands on an advanced copy of the book, because we'll see throughout just how closely the designs match up. Like here at the gable and its pinnacle, and here at the porch. There are also double chimney shafts, which are nearly identical to those in the book. So Downing said that the cost of materials to build the house would be around $4,500, assuming you got the bricks for $4 per 1,000 bricks. And I just researched that, and around 1850, $7 to $10 was more standard at that time, so maybe Downing was being a little optimistic. The house is 4,660 square feet. That's a fair amount of bricks. The front door is about 4 inches thick, and there are pocket doors. And like in Downing's plan, the living room and the parlor are on either side of the main hall. This room is the library on the plans, but the living room in the house. And Downing wanted to have windows limited to 2 sides of a room, but to make them big to avoid pettiness. These definitely avoid pettiness. So if it were mine, I would keep the color scheme here, but change it like this to make it a little more storybook and whimsical, like the outside of the house. And it also references the gardens that we'll see in a bit. The design is by Nicky Haslam, and I would carry those feelings and colors across the hall to the parlor. So it would match the living room if it looked like this, which also seems very appropriate for a storybook artist's house. This is Hannah Cecil Gurney's home, and she's with the de Gurney hand-painted wallpaper company, so that's why the design is so fabulous. But I didn't really want to cover those Gothic windows, so there. Now, in Downing's plan, this library behind it is designated as a bedroom, and this dining room wouldn't be there at all. It was supposed to be more of a central hall with just a dining table and the stairs in it, and a pantry tucked behind the stairs. But this is better. It makes a very pretty dining room, and then it's more symmetrical with the 4 rooms together like that. The kitchen is in the correct space at the back of the house, and as the realtor says, it has the opportunity to become a little bit more period appropriate. You can see the butler's pantry there that connects it to the dining room. And it has very nice maple cabinets and new appliances. But I do have a design idea for it. You probably figured I would. I combined two kitchens to make this one. And sorry, I don't have the original sources, but I really like the idea of a Gothic revival design around the range and period appropriate tile. And I also really like the copper accents and the Persian rugs, just to make it a little bit more storybook in there. Okay, so there's also a guest bathroom and a pantry / laundry room there on the first floor. So Downing didn't specify the guest bath, and he didn't specify for the stairs to be a featured element of this house model, because instead he was thinking that it was better for those with mobility issues. So the stairs weren't a centerpiece of the foyer, as you might otherwise expect them to be. They're tucked back at the end of the hall, but they're still gorgeous. And they have a little storybook detail with this painted crest. Thanks to the realtor's video for pointing that out. Now here is the landing with the sweet little window seat and a full bathroom off of it. And then this bedroom has this attached dressing room, because as Downing says, we have 2 large and 2 small bedrooms. And there's a dressing room and a closet communicating with the small bedroom on the left. So there it is, communicating. But I think all the rooms communicate really nicely. So in another deviation from Downing's plan, there's an attached servants' quarters with stairs going down into it, and then it also has back stairs going down to the kitchen. It has its own bathroom, and that makes this house a 6-bedroom, 2.5-bath home. There's this closet off of the servants' quarters. Nice closet. And another little room tucked behind it, which is just another little fairy tale touch there. And then there are stairs going down to this enclosed porch. Apparently that's where they sharpen their knives. And that brings us to the gardens. And remember, Downing was a landscape designer. He's also kind of a bit of a bossy boots, because he specified everything. In this case, he wanted a thick shrubbery belt composed of syringas, mountain ashes, and lilacs. So the Wright family took his ideas and they kind of ran with them. He suggested 1.25 acres of gardens, and they went with nearly 4. And they included this pond and this beautiful seating area under the pines. So when she was a little girl, Mary Sherwood Wright Jones would ride horses with her grandmother around the property. And her grandmother would say, "Listen to the guinea hens. It sounds like they're saying your name. Mary Wright, Mary Wright." So when she became a well-known artist, she would include a little guinea hen as part of her signature. Like this one, tucked in behind the penguin. And if you were in school between 1928 and 1960, you might have noticed it, because she illustrated for My Weekly Reader. It was a classroom magazine that later became Scholastic News. And she illustrated for them for 30 years. Okay, so here is the barn, which presumably had the stables for her grandparents' horses. Because Downing also suggested that this house model be built about a mile away from a country town, allowing plenty of room for gardens and stables. I think they did that. So Mary's grandfather Virgil bought the house in 1868, and she was born in 1892. And she came back here to live after she went to the Parsons School of Design in New York and got married. So that was sometime after 1913. And the house stayed in her family for 4 generations and inspired some of her grandchildren to become artists too. And that's the Upham-Wright House. If you like this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you like this, you'll probably like my All Creatures Great and Small Dollhouse series, also on this channel. Thanks for watching, and for more content, please visit my website at ifitweremine.com.